Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. We back with another episode of HomeFLD podcast. I'm y'all host, Pitt, and I got another guest that's doubling back for me. My senior, my OG, my dad, my pops, Gregory Pittman, the honorable judge. Gregory Pittman, we gonna do it right this time now. What's going on, Dad? Welcome to the
Let's
show.
get it right. I was Pitt before you were Pitt.
This is facts. This is facts. The original. That's why
Okay.
you the OG.
All right.
All right. Original Gregory.
My man. Good to see you, brother.
Give me some. My man. So, we not gonna waste no time. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Myself, yourself, we are kind of journey process driven people.
Yep.
And one might call it a passage, right? And going through different passages, the definition of a passage is the act or process of passing from one place, condition, to another. You being born in 61 at 61 years old.
That's 1961, huh? Right.
This is facts. Okay. This is fact. 1961. Me born in 1998, 24 years old.
You made it. You made it before the millennium.
I did. What's crazy is, man, I was at the club working, and I was talking to my babies, and they was telling me they were born 2013, 2009, 2010. You know what they asked me?
What's that?
Mr. Pitt, when was you born? 98. Was you born in slavery? and look, this the thing. They were dead serious.
They were serious. I know it. Welcome.
Husband, father.
Yeah.
I'm a.
Not a husband.
Not a husband.
Definitely not a father.
Not a father.
Not
right?
yet. Okay.
We both college educated men. Michigan State University, undergraduate. Got your JD from University of Indiana.
Nope.
Indiana University.
Mm-hmm.
Me, undergrad, Kalamazoo College. Master's degree, Western Michigan. But we. Even though we are in two different time periods of our life, me trying to figure things out,
mm-hmm.
You being seasoned and a veteran in this life thing and still transitioning from journey to journey. But you were appointed on the bench as a judge in 1998 when I came into this world. So I know you nothing but Judge Pittman.
That's
right.
For your whole life.
My whole life.
I've been Judge Pittman.
Absolutely.
And Pop.
Yeah, 110%.
All right.
You were reelected in 2000, 2006, 2012, and 2018. But the specialty about those reelections, you ran unopposed.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
In those elections, meaning no opponent.
Yep.
So, talk to us about that.
Well, I kind of wanted to spend a little time with you on your podcast. You talk to the young brothers and sisters, and as I'm going through this passage on this journey,
right,
in this particular election, I said there's still lessons that are coming out of this, even at this at this late stage in my career, that I think have some value for you in this very early stage of your career.
Absolutely.
And the young folks who follow HomeFLD. And this is the PG version of HomeFLD today, right?
It is. We're going to keep it playing.
All right. So I was thinking, I said, doing the podcast, we've been talking about doing it again together. And I wanted to share some of those observations within the context
right.
of this election season, So... I'm engaged in a contested election for the first time since 1998. And the question is why?
Right.
Well, the technical answer is because I'm running for a newly created seat. The governor created a new judgeship here in Muskegon County to kind of help relieve some of the enormous caseloads that the 4 circuit judges currently have.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5th Circuit Court judgeship was created in 2022. And I made the decision.
Before you go there, for those that have no idea, what is your current position now?
Okay, thank you.
Let's start there.
All right. Well, since 1998, I have been a member of the probate court bench, serving here in Muskegon County. Now, here's what's unique about that, son. So they created that, but what they did was they said, we're going to make a combination of probate and circuit judges to become the family division of the circuit court. You following all of that?
I'm here.
Okay. So when I was appointed by Governor Engler back in 1998 to the probate bench, I came in as the appointed or designated family court judge in circuit court. So I'm the probate who is sent to circuit to serve in the family division. Moving forward, that's where I've always been. This Fifth Circuit seat comes about. And what this does is that gives us the opportunity now to reconfigure, sort of realign our probate and circuit courts and along with the family division. And now create a situation where we have 2 circuit court judges, if I'm successful,
Right.
and 1 probate judge dedicated to the family division.
Right.
My probate seat then becomes vacant.
Right.
It will then be filled by an appointment by the new governor, whether that's Governor Whitmer reelected or Tudor Dixon coming in as the new governor. But what would occur is that that judge would then be designated to do primarily probate court work, and we get back on track.
Right.
Now, when I was appointed by the Supreme Court as circuit and probate chief judge in November, and my term began in January of 22, that's what I told them I was going to do. We had to submit a plan to the Supreme Court about how we wanted to run the court if we were appointed as chief judge, those of us who were competing for that position. Part of my plan was that, and I told them that I would run for that seat to realign our courts, to make us more efficient and make us more consistent with what our original plan was. So that's why I'm here.
That's the background.
That's the background. It's a contested race because I don't get to have on the ballot the designation of honorable. You look at your ballot, those incumbent judges who are on the ballot, they have honorable next to their name.
Right.
And most lawyers look at that and say, hey, there's no way I'm going to be able to beat somebody who's already a judge in that seat. So they generally don't run against sitting judges.
Right.
Because technically this is a new seat, I would not be the incumbent, even though I'm 24 years on the bench.
24 years vet, you proven.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm oldest on the bench as you are. Alive.
That's actual factual information.
You were at my investiture.
I don't have no recollection of that one.
Your mother, who was the most beautiful pregnant woman ever with you and Cherish, was carrying you. I got it. The investiture was in January of 1998.
Here I come in
April 14th. Here you come.
Shout
So
out
you
to
were there.
Shout out to Teresa K, man. Shout out to Teresa K and Cherish.
Right. So I don't have that designation. These attorneys think they might have a shot at taking me out
Okay.
because I'm just good old Gregory Pittman. I'm not honorable Gregory Pittman, although I'm honorable every day.
That's what I hear.
My man. So they took their shot. So here's what's a little point that I want to make about that.
Okay.
Each of those guys who filed had a conversation with each one of them.
You did personally.
I did, yeah. I think it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And my question to each one of them was, why are you running?
What's your why?
Yeah, what is your why? Exactly. So one response from one of them, I won't identify them by name, but one of the attorneys said, I hate my law practice.
Okay. You want to change that?
I didn't think that was a good reason
Not good
to
enough.
stand before the voters of Muskegon County and say, elect me as circuit court judge.
Because I don't like my current situation.
Because I don't like my situation. One of them said, hey, this is my last go round. I might catch lightning in a bottle. I might get a shot because I'm getting older.
So to my 24-year-olds out there, he said YOLO.
YOLO.
You only live once.
You
Might
only
as well do it. Might as well. That's what he said.
Well, that's what he said. But
Why not?
again, is that really a good reason to stand before the Muskegon County voters and say, you should elect me as your judge?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them said, well, you know you're ruining this for me. And that was his answer. You're ruining this for me. You're making this bad for me. I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had it all planned out that I was going to, run for this seat. And now you've announced and you've messed all of that up for me.
So you done inconvenience his plans.
I inconvenienced him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here saying, okay, but that's not an answer to my question. Why are you running?
That's a lot of audacity.
Why are you running?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want the governor to be able to make the appointment to the seat when you get elected because I think the people should have the right to choose. I can appreciate that, but so my answer to him is, so let me get this right. You're running against me because you are mad at the governor because the Constitution gives her the right to make the appointment to the seat that I'm going to vacate when I win. Is that tortured logic or what? It's hard to follow.
Absolutely.
But once again, I don't really think it's a good answer to the voters of Muskegon as to why that person should have the opportunity to stand before you and be elected.
Right.
So one of the passage, as we talk about these passages, what I got out of all of that is there's such a level of cynicism that can creep into our society.
Right.
My brothers, don't let that happen to you. Stay true to it. Be real about it. If you have something to bring it. If you see someone else who has the goods and they can bring it, get out of the way and let them.
Be humble.
Be humble. Be real. And let's try to get the best for our communities as we possibly can. I didn't hear one answer out of any of those three men that convinced me that they had the best interest of Muskegon County at heart. They had their best interest at heart. They had their own selfish motive. And you have a right to your ambitions. But we should be aspiring for something a little higher.
Absolutely, especially when it impacts the people as this election does.
Yeah. This is real, man. In this seat, you literally have the power to change the arc of the life of not only a person but an entire family. And thereby touching enough of those families to change what a community looks like. Now, I hate my law practice is not a good reason to be able to touch and change the lives of families in Muskegon County.
Because who said he won't get on the bench and hate that too?
Well, you said it, not me, young blood. But I like what you said. I don't know if that's a trustworthy enough reason. I certainly know it's not a selfless enough reason. So that's my why. That's what I understood to be their why.
Right.
That's why I'm in this contested race now with a young lawyer who began practicing 12 years ago.
But you've been in this seat double that.
Yeah.
Or you've been serving this county in this state in multitude of ways, not just on the bench, but multiple committees, chair of this committee, opening covenant academies and things like this around the state. Double that.
Yeah, everything that this young man has learned about practicing law can be attributed to what he learned in my courtroom. Pretty much sort of helped teach him everything he knows, but I certainly didn't tell him everything I know.
The sensei.
Okay. So that's the where, that's the why. That's the bit of the passage lesson for this journey. Don't fall to that level of cynicism.
Okay. So this is one thing that I want to ask you about this election. why are their responses to you? Or let me rephrase. What do you think their response would be to the community if the community was to ask them that question that you asked them personally?
That's a good question. I'm going to kind of dig into my lawyer chops.
Okay.
And what I would say to you is that would cause for speculation. That's a better answer that comes from them than it does from me.
Okay.
I have no idea what they would say. Here's why we don't know. Because they won't step out and say it. I think here's a passage.
Okay.
Here's a part of that journey. If you want and profess to be something to somebody, you need to stand before them and explain who you are and let them ask about you. In this particular context, that involves the idea of maybe we should stand on a debate stage together and talk about why we want to be judged, why you should give me your vote. That's been asked. I have always accepted every invitation. My opponent has not. My opponent will not stand on the same stage with me, shoulder to shoulder, and allow people to take a measure of us as potentially judges, well, potentially for him, as judges in this community. I think that's wrong.
Right.
I think that's, as we're talking about passages, if you stand up before people, son, and profess that you can, then you better be ready to be tested by them as to why you can. And you owe them that.
Right.
Don't forget that, brother.
So, I won't. So, you've stated your why. You stated the journey and the passage. So how is it going? It's plain and simple. How is it going for you?
I am thoroughly disappointed with the level to which the discourse surrounding the idea of qualification and preparation to serve as a circuit court judge has fallen. We live in pretty in times where in partisan politics just about anything goes, and we have come to expect that. I think we should be disappointed by that, but we at least expect that.
Right.
I think a community kind of looks at people who want to be the judges in their community and say, we kind of expect a little more from you. Because the coin of the realm, what we work with, what we have to offer is our character, our integrity, and the fact that those who come before us accept our rulings because they think that we have some measure of esteem behind us. Some of the things that I've seen done in this campaign, in both campaigns, not just mine, do a disservice to the profession of being a judge.
Okay.
It does not foster the kind of confidence I think that people should have when they come to the Hall of Justice with their conflicts, with their difficulties, and they expect that someone is going to sit on that bench and have a measure of decorum and competence and character to be able to give them good answers, or at least answer the issue for them, or at least to help them to find some resolution. I don't see that. I certainly don't see it out of my opponent, and I won't bite my tongue about that. There have been all manner of mistruths perpetrated in the guise of campaigning. Flat out, complete, unadulterated misinformation with the idea of casting me in a certain type of light. Here's a passage. Here's a point that I want you to remember. In this marketplace of ideas that we call this world, there are people who are ready to define you for you.
This is true.
Don't let them. See, the problem that my opponent has is that he's trying to convince people that the person that they've known for 24 years on this bench is somebody different. He's trying to convince people in this community that the person that they grew up with and that they've known for 61 years in Muskegon County is something that has been perpetrated. A fraud has been perpetrated.
A facade.
A facade. Thank you. Boy, we got our money's worth.
I ain't gonna lie, man. We did it.
Those 2 college degrees, man. Facade. Yes, the facade. Yeah, this guy is coming in and trying to somehow convince people that you've been tricked for 24 years. And the man who served as Muskegon Heights school board president, man who served as chairman of Muskegon Covenant Academy School Board and helped to found it, the man who has served as chairman of the Child Abuse Council in Muskegon County, man who was selected as Jurist of the Year in 2018.
Another one.
Man who was selected as champion of the family by the Michigan Family Forum. Man who the Michigan Supreme Court decided had the wherewithal to lead this court for the next 2 years, and I would dare say another 2 years after that.
I know that's right.
Is somehow not who all of these entities and all the people whose lives I've touched, he's not him. Let me tell you who he is.
So why do you suspect that he is taking this approach to his election strategy?
Well, it's a level of desperation.
Okay.
It is the what do the old gangsters call it? The fugazi.
Fugazi, yeah, it's real.
It's a fugazi. You don't have anything of true value and substance to offer. So let me show you the shiny object over here where I want your attention to be diverted to, which in this case is the misappropriation of my reputation, to tell you why I should be your circuit court judge. One of the things that I'm proud of in this campaign, that was a disappointment. I'm proud of the fact that I've kept the discourse at this level. I've only talked about what it is I do. I've only talked about what I'm capable of. I've only talked about my record. I think you've seen my campaign signs. You got a hoodie. I sent you one.
I walked in the parade. I passed out candy and kissed the babies. Come on now.
Well,
we put the leg work in.
On my campaign literature, my signs, it says, for Judge Pittman. Prove it. See, I have to live on the record. Everything I do in my professional life is recorded, literally.
24 years of that.
So if you want to go and check the record, you're going to find mistakes. You're going to find that I haven't done everything exactly like it should.
And that's transparency.
That's transparency, and that's my humanity.
Right.
But what you're also going to find is you're going to find an incredibly good record.
Absolutely.
That shows that people trust what I do.
An honest and fair record.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you go and take a true look at that record, that's what you'll see. My opponent has decided to instead sort of take a nugget of truth from here, a nugget of truth from there, cherry pick this, that, and the other, and then somehow coalesce that into this is the reputation of this 61-year-old man. It won't work.
It won't.
It won't work. No, no. I would ask him that if his true ambition is to get to the bench, I would ask him that he would take stock of the idea that there's a level of maturity that he's going to have to reach to be there. He's not there.
He's not there yet.
No,
that's clear. So I want to ask you this. I was a little dude, and I heard reference to you handcuffing these individuals.
Not my baby. Not you too.
I was a little dude, man. Little dude. Living in my innocence.
That was in 2002.
So let's talk about it.
You were 4 years old.
Let's talk about it.
You know, I have never really spent a lot of time talking about it because
Well, here we go.
those
We got the platform.
right, well, those who needed that discourse have had that discourse.
Okay.
But my opponent has decided to take the, I think, very difficult moment that I was a part of and the anguish that this woman expresses that she feels. And he's co-opted that into a campaign issue. So let's deal with it.
Okay, let's deal with it.
And this is another of those passages. Facts matter.
They do. You cannot argue the facts or
Facts
deny the
matter.
facts.
That's right. Or it does not exist.
It does not exist.
Facts matter. And wherever they go, wherever they take you, you have to go. If you are serious and fidelitous, if you are connected to truth. Facts take you there. So the fact of the matter is that I absolutely made a mistake in how the whole situation transpired. I ordered her and the husband into custody preliminarily while I was finishing another matter in order to then convene a contempt hearing because the two of them were telling me a story that one of them was lying about, and I needed to figure that out.
Right.
Now, the backdrop of this story is that the woman in the case had been in my court before, and there were some matters that I had kind of admonished her about, that you can't just use this PPO when you want to. If you have an order of protection that keeps someone away from you, ostensibly the spirit of that order says that you should stay away from them. That's what you came to get.
Right.
Well, that spirit of the order had been violated, and I had given her the admonishment that I'm going to take seriously that you have to follow this order. Now, I never questioned whether she should have the order. So the next violation occurs, and the gentleman makes the assertion that I was there because she said I could be there, and he was supposed to stay away from the home.
Okay, so this was part of that PPO agreement.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He's supposed to stay away from that particular address. He says he was there because she had allowed him to be there.
Okay.
She says that's not true.
Okay.
Two diametrically opposed positions cannot exist in the same space and both be true.
Right. So what's the truth?
And that's what became the focus. And that's when I ordered them taken into custody. My bailiff handcuffed them together because court security required that if one person is transporting two people, you handcuff them together. So they were handcuffed together as he transported them from my courtroom to our holding
So
cell.
this is protocol.
This is protocol.
Right.
Where it went off track and where I truly take responsibility, it was my order. So I'm the person who's got to make sure it's carried out appropriately and without incident. When they were taken to the holding cell, they were never unhandcuffed, according to what I was told.
Okay.
And they were put in that holding cell, handcuffed together. They were never out of the sight of the security guard, of the bailiff. He had eyes on them the whole time, so there could not have been anything untoward to have happened. But nevertheless, it was not my intention for them to remain handcuffed.
Okay.
And I'm responsible for that. And I take that responsibility, and I apologized to the woman. I attempted to apologize to both of them, and the man said, "Oh, I'm okay. I don't need an apology." But I reached out and I apologized to the woman. I asked to meet with her to apologize to her, and I did that. She filed a grievance with the Judicial Tenure Commission, which was her right. I responded. The Grievance Commission did its investigation, as they should. They listened to her story. They listened to my story. They reviewed the transcript, the record of the case. Remember, everything I do is
It's
on
recorded,
record.
right? It's on record.
What they came back with was not a discipline by the Michigan Supreme Court. What they came back with is what they called an admonishment.
Okay.
And that is an official measure by which they resolve judicial tenure grievances. And by court rule, MCR 9.207 to be exact.
To be exact.
An admonishment is not considered punishment.
Okay.
It is them saying, hey, you did something that you probably should have thought better of. Don't do it again. That's 20 years ago.
So what's the significance of this situation?
Well, if my opponent was here, I would ask him, I would tell you ask him, because I have yet to see the significance. I took responsibility. The matter ended because I agreed with the Judicial Tenure Commission that I would accept their admonishment.
Right.
I did not stand on my due process right, which was to say, let's go and have a full hearing and somebody else decide. Because I knew that I had failed.
Accountability.
And I'm accountable for that.
Right.
So the idea that I didn't apologize is not accurate. The idea that I have somehow tried to say that I did not fail in some way is not true. And what is very not true is that I was never disciplined by the Michigan Supreme Court. A discipline, let me get a little technical. A discipline in the state of Michigan of a judge by the Michigan Supreme Court is a full-blown formal complaint and case before that Michigan Supreme Court.
Right.
And the results of that are published for perpetuity in these law books. Then when you go into a lawyer's office, you see these beautiful bound books. It would be in there. It would be called In Re Pittman. It would be I-N-R-E Pittman. In Re Pittman. In Re is loosely translated from Latin to mean in the matter.
Okay.
In the matter of Pittman. And then there would be a case number assigned to it. And it would be there for everybody to be able to see.
Right.
But let's go a little further. The Judicial Tenure Commission maintains a record of every judge in the state of Michigan who has been disciplined by the Michigan Supreme Court.
And you are not on that record.
And I am nowhere on that list. They have that record as far back as the Judicial Tenure Commission has existed. I've seen records as far back as 1974. You won't find N. Ray Pittman there. But this man put out in these flyers or these mailers that he sent out that I was disciplined by the Michigan Supreme Court. And if he had done half of what any reasonable and competent and capable attorney had done, which is to do the work of the research before you consider something to be communicated as a fact.
And then publicize it.
And then publish it as a fact. Now see, what that is libel.
Okay.
Libel is the knowing communication of a falsehood for the purpose of convincing a third party that it is true. He sent this to every voter that he wanted to reach, and he says, I authorize this message.
He signed off on it.
He signed off on it. He signed off on a libelous statement. Your reputation is really all you have. Who you are, who you are able to represent yourself to be in this world is what you have. Guard it jealously, guard it ferociously, guard it vigorously, and do not let anybody co-opt and coerce away from you your reputation.
Tell me about this lawsuit that he's filed.
Another passage, another thing to take along with you. And this comes from the ancestors. This comes from the people who we come from, who were brought here
The
against
middle
their
passage.
will. This comes from the middle passage.
We talk about passages.
When these three lawyers filed and became authorized, endorsed for the ballot in the primary, they came together and filed a lawsuit against me, attempting to have a circuit court judge rule that I could not, for any reason during the campaign, refer to myself as judge, your honor, chief judge, or any of the other things that I am. What's the passage? What's the point that I want to drive home to you? When we were brought here, in that middle passage, what's the first thing that they took?
Your name.
They took your name. They took your identity.
Identity.
They wanted to strip your humanity.
Absolutely.
They wanted to take away who you were so that others would look at you as other.
Less than.
Less than. They wanted it to be seen that you were not who you thought you were, and nobody should consider you to be who you are. How many times did we see Roots, and we know that that was such a sensationalized depiction of slavery, but
What's your name,
we remember, your name is Toby. No, my name is Kunta Kinte.
Kunta Kinte.
No, your name is Toby.
And he took them lashes and he stood his ground. He stood on business.
He stood on his own. He stood on who he was. Well, the first thing that these three decided to do was, let's take his identity so we can make it easier for him to be considered other. So it's easier for us. I would assume. I don't really know what their motivation was. And quite honestly,
we don't care.
I really don't care. I just wanted, when that happened, I wanted others to be aware that that trickeration still plays. And thankfully, our court stood up. The judge stood up in Ottawa County and said, you can't take away who he is.
For 24 years.
You cannot take you cannot take that away.
Like, make it make sense.
You can't take that away. Your action is going to be denied. Now, let me say this in fairness to two of the candidates. They filed for the immediate injunction. It's called a temporary restraining order, TRO.
Okay.
For me to immediately not be able to do that. And the judge ruled immediately, no, you can't do that, but let's have your hearing so you can be heard. You got due process rights to be heard on this this ridiculous measure that you're bringing. Two of them said, no, I've heard enough. We're out. They withdrew.
Yeah. I'm a head out.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
I'll withdraw.
This ain't that deep to me. That's exactly the approach that they took.
I would imagine, son, that there was just a measure of embarrassment.
A little bit.
On them.
Because it's kind of silly.
Because it really is, it is the thesis of why people think lawyers and what we do is so off base. But the third, my current opponent, refused to drop the suit. And we went through and had to have the full hearing. And what it showed to me of him is that you're just not quite as competent an attorney as you think you are.
As you think you are.
If you believe that this theory of the law is defensible and would carry the day, you're not the lawyer that you think you are. And here's the other part.
So he's been, and I must say, he's been a facade for 12 years.
Well, I'm not saying that.
That's why I said it. I said it. It's me,
said.
Jerry Gregory. HomeFLD, the podcast.
Yeah. I would certainly say if that is the level of legal theorizing and how you come to where you are, you got some work to do. But what's more troubling to the purpose of being a judge, the arbiter and trier of fact and law, is that when it was shown to you, like it was shown to the other two, that you're pretty off base in where you're going, your own selfish motive, your own lucre, your own malice towards the idea that I got to diminish my opponent any way I can, overruled what we say in our bar admission oath, that we will not advance any cause of action without due cause and course. You were told that this isn't going anywhere.
But he proceeded.
But you proceeded. And in my opinion, you were, if not violative, you were certainly outside the spirit of the oath that we take as lawyers, to not bring those types of actions that clog up our court with defenseless and unjustifiable theories that cannot be supported in fact or law. That's what he did. Is this the type of person that should be entrusted to an entire county's work where people have these types of matters and you either cannot think and reason well enough to appreciate a good case from a bad case, or in the alternative, you don't have the character, the integrity, and the fidelity to our oath to the legal profession to say that this does not deserve to be in our court. If you can't do it for you, I know you can't do it for anybody else.
Man, that's incredible. That's incredible.
You know, another passage. Everybody wants to be until they have to. Everybody wants to do something and be something until they have to.
One of my favorite quotes come from motivational speaker Eric Thomas. And I listened to it in high school when I was, getting my squat max up. And he said, everybody want to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do.
Come on. Come on.
Until it's time for you to put your hand in there. Strap them gloves on, strap your helmet on or whatever, and handle business. Everybody want to be that. But until you got to do the work.
That's, we could have started the podcast with that and saved people about another 45 minutes. Everybody wants to be that thing.
Yeah.
That dude. Until it's time to actually do it. Can you actually make that happen? Well, for 24 years, I've been that guy.
Because it's proven.
And I really question whether my opponent has the I don't question. I know he doesn't have the wherewithal now. I question whether he will ever develop the wherewithal.
Okay.
He's been practicing for 12 years. That puts him somewhere in the range of 40-ish, maybe a little younger. My 40th birthday, I had been on the bench for 4 years. I had the wherewithal. And even with that, I made a mistake that I still today take accountability for. Because you got to grow.
Yep.
You got to learn.
You're human.
But I don't see that capacity in him. Now, maybe it's there, and I'm not the judge of him. I'm not the final decision maker. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But I can guarantee you in 2022, he ain't it.
That ain't it.
I can guarantee you that.
So before we get up out of here, man, what do you want the people to leave the viewing and for my listeners listening, what do you want them to leave with this?
You know, I'm hoping that, first of all, I said some things that are helping some other people on their journey.
Yeah.
In their passages from one place to another. Because that's really what our lives kind of come down to. We're always in a passage. We're always moving.
Transitioning, yeah.
Transitioning from something to something else. I'm transitioning out of this legal profession at some point, but not today. I guarantee you, not today. But what I want people to leave with as my neighbors, fellow citizens of this community, is that when those of us who seek your support for public office come and say that we want to do these things, it's not the beautiful sign or the number of them. It's not necessarily even the endorsements of a whole lot of other people, although that helps. You do want to be endorsed by good people. It's you, citizen, taking a measure of that person before you give them one of the most sacred things that you have in your possession, your vote. And I would say this: if any person refuses to stand before you and give account for why you should support them and give them your vote, they're not worthy of your vote.
It says a whole lot.
I say this now, and I've said it before. I am willing, even at this late date, to meet anywhere, any place, with a moderator and allow myself and my opponent to stand before the people, side by side, and give account of ourselves and engage in the kind of conversation, discourse, and debate that a position of circuit court judge and all that it loftily holds for you to be able to allow people to measure which is the appropriate and right choice. I offer that now, any day, any time. I'll make the time. My family, God bless you. God bless my daughter, Cherish, my wife, Kay. You all are giving me the room to do what I need to do to be able to go out and give a good account of myself. So I have the time. I'll make the time. And at any point, if that's something that he's willing to do, I will do it. I have enjoyed meeting people on the campaign trail. That is not a complaint.
Make no mistake of it.
I want my life back from these scurrilous, virtually libelous, untrue, unfair, unethical machinations that have taken the place of true discourse in an election and a campaign. I want that gone. But meeting the people has been wonderful. 13 days, my brother.
13 days, man. The countdown is real.
Oh yeah.
Real to the bros, man. The judging bros. The legal bros. But man, I appreciate you. I'm glad we finally got to sit down, and have this conversation, and allow you the opportunity to speak to a different demographic of individual on my platform. And Dad, I want to tell you, I'll give you your flowers, man. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate that, man. That means the world. Man.
I'm proud of you.
That means the world.
You are, for 24 years, you've been the man I've known you to be. You've been the man that has helped and primarily molded me to who I am today. And if for the listeners and the viewers, if y'all have any real love and any real relationship with me, then do the solid and go out there and exercise your right to vote. I know we have this generational thing where we say our vote don't matter. It does, especially our local ones.
That's
because
right.
That is where a lot of the work is being done.
That's right.
Right. That's where the impact
That's
and
where
the effect is
you're
really
impacted.
Exactly.
The most.
So that's a childish, immature mindset to have. You have a voice. You have an option. You have a choice. The first thing that they took from us was our identity, right? And we fought hard for this opportunity to step up in that voting booth without.
That's right. That's right.
Without somebody telling us no, we can't, or making it hard for us. That has already passed. The individuals that have put that legwork in have been there, and
That's
we
right.
are in a whole new place. So exercise that right, okay, and do your research. Because at the end of the day, like I just said, it impacts you wholeheartedly.
That's right.
So, Pops, tell them where they can find you, your Facebook page. I know you're ready to get off of that thing too.
Well, I've actually kind of enjoyed I've run across friends from Michigan State and IU and all that kind of thing. I can be found at www.pittman, Pittman 4, the number 4, judge.com. That's my website. I am on Facebook as either just my name, Gregory Pittman. I got a page, personal page, and then there is the 4 Judge Pittman Facebook page. We would be remiss, you're here with me. My daughter has just moved to Chicago, bless her heart. But she, way back when you were still walking around in Mom's stomach, I think Cherish would have been 3. She coined my campaign slogan.
And I end up using it for my slogan in like an elementary school election. So it's thorough. Okay?
She came up with it and told it to everybody she saw until the campaign was over. Don't quit till you vote for Pitt.
And y'all better not, you hear me? Don't quit till you vote for Pitt.
Don't quit till you vote for Pitt. That nonpartisan part of the ballot is where I am. It's on the backside of the ballot that you're going to get if you go to the polls, or if you're voting absentee, it's on the backside of the ballot that comes to your home.
So flip your ballot over.
Flip your ballot. Don't quit till you vote for Pitt.
I'm
not telling you to quit until you vote completely, but if you gotta quit,
just do it.
Don't quit till you vote.
Just do it after you vote for us.
And finally, the last thing in any campaign, people tell you have to ask for the vote. I am seeking. I am asking for your vote. If you're viewing this, if you're hearing this, and you are a Muskegon County voter, I am asking for your vote.
And that's another episode of HomeFLD podcast, man. I'm y'all host, Pitt.
You heard?
Y'all can find me at HomeFLD.OTL on Instagram, PITT.OTL on Instagram, PITT_ on Twitter, HomeFLD.FLD.XX@gmail.com, HomeField Media on YouTube.
EIEIO.
Yeah, XYZ, LMNOP, you hear me? PITT.
Man, that's a lot, man.
They got to find me, man. I got to be out there, baby. So that's another one. Again, Pops, I appreciate you for sitting down.
Proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you. I'm doing what I can, but that's another episode. We catch you in the next one in a minute.